Okay, well, these days there's the YouTube way of doing a will it run video, which is to spend 50 minutes taking spark plugs out, checking compression, putting oil in the cylinders, talking, wanting to sponsor some kind of product, talking some more, and finally the last 4 or 5 minutes of the video you see if it's going to run. Well, there's my way of doing it, which is dispense with all that. So this is an unknown slant 6 engine in this 1972 Valiant, and I know nothing about this engine. I did turn it over with a key. It turns over okay. The starter doesn't sound good. Sounds like it's got compression. This is the last year that still has points in it down there, so I don't know the condition of them. This engine is supposed to run at some point, but anyway, all I know to do is take my gas bottle and fill up the carburetor. I do have a fire extinguisher and a smother blanket, and I did just rip off the remains of this potentially flammable hood blanket that's had oil on it. So anyway, let's just get right in here, shall we? Well, if I can get right in there. Give it a drink. Alright. I had to fix the choke. I don't know if that choke is operable or not, but I don't know if this carburetor is operable or not. But anyway, birds having sex up here. This is every day, and they get close as they can to me. Show-offs. Birds get more action than I do. Alright, and not only in addition to not knowing anything about this engine, I know nothing about this carburetor, so let me get this here. Alright, let's just turn the key. Oh. That sounds like no ignition. Alright, let me get into the distributor. Yep, they look pretty dirty from where I'm at. I'll clean them. Okay, take two. I think I got the points cleaned, hopefully good enough. Dump some more gas in there, put the air cleaner back on just so we don't get a fireball. That's what tends to happen here. So, again. I don't like the way that starter sounds. Ew. Ew. Oh, don't need that key. What's that doing in here? Alright, here we go. Nope. Nothing. Alright. Well, be continued. Alright, so I pulled this starter off to see what's going on with it because it's making all that racket. And what happened to it is the overrunning clutch is locked up on it. See how it's locked? It won't turn, won't do anything. So that's not good. That's That's internal there. Something happened. It's supposed to be able to turn and overrun when the engine tries to fire. It locks in one direction and spins freely the other. So that's not good, and it looks like it's done a little bit of damage to the flex plate in there. I hope not enough that's going to affect it. So anyway, I've got plenty of starters. This is one of my spare known good starters, so I'm just going to throw that on there for now. I actually have a 72 starter that goes on it, but I'll fix that. That's a reman. I know it is because the numbers, the dates on it, and the numbers don't match the car. So it's just, to me, that's just a core. Nothing more than a core. All right, let's get that other starter on. Okay, so got that starter replaced. Let's give it another shot here. I like my reminder, my single key reminder system. I already lost this key once. Found it in the house in a drawer because I'd forgotten I put it in there. That's better. That's the way it should sound. So anyway, I'm not going to keep grinding on it because it's not going to run. It doesn't have any spark. I've already checked that off camera. You veterans of Will It Run videos, you know all about checking for spark. So I got my checker out and videoed it since I can't be out here and run the starter. And I know you might say, well, you can just run it off you can just get you a trigger switch and run that. Well, that doesn't always work right on these because the way these ignition systems are designed on these, it gets about 5 volts to the coil when it's in the run position, and then when you turn it to start, it bypasses that the resistor over there on the firewall. That's what drops it to 5 volts, and so it's designed so when you hit the start position, it sends the full 12 volts down to the coil so it lights off faster. So when you get out here and just run the starter, you're taking that function out of the system. So that's why you see people have so many problems with these things, trying to get them to run. They don't understand it because it's that Mopar stuff. I don't know much about that. So, but those of us who do know that you have to really get in there to get it easier to start. You have to turn the key and get that bypass system functional. It's voodoo, isn't it? So anyway, this starter over here, that blows my mind because I've never seen one of these do this. So this what I'm looking at here showing you is this is called the pinion gear, and this is what turns the flex plate with the flywheel, whatever, in there with all the teeth on it to turn the engine over. So this thing being locked up is basically locked to the flywheel the entire time, and its overrunning feature, it's called an overrunning clutch. It's like a sprag clutch. It engages when the starter tries to turn the engine. That thing engages and locks up, so it turns and it kicks that pinion gear out, so it turns the engine. But it's like a one-way clutch. Pick your name for it. But so when if the engine starts to fire and run, it goes from being driven by the starter to trying to drive the starter, and you don't want to do that because you can damage this thing. This thing's not designed, especially if you got some ding dong that's out there holding her foot down on it, revving the crap out of it. It'll blow the starter up. It's real hard on it. So anyway, that's why you want that. And you hear these Will It Run videos, people are trying to start something, and you kept hearing the starter, they engage the starter, and the engine turns over, and then it goes just about the time the thing's trying to start. So they've got problems in this thing. They get worn out and get weak, and that's, so this thing being, with no overrunning feature, it was just basically, all that grinding stuff, it was trying to kick it out, I guess. It's not good. So this is a reman starter anyway. I can tell because the dates don't match the car. They're later than what the car is. So, and these starters, these are just about singularly responsible for me not being able to watch any more Mopar Will It Runs, because I hear the same thing every time they're trying to get something. Look at that, they're at it again. Get you some. Anyway, you always hear the people on there say the same thing. Well, this ain't turning over fast enough. This engine's gonna have to turn faster than that. We ain't never gonna get it to run like that. Something must be wrong with this starter. No, there's not something wrong with this starter. They were all designed one way from 1962 up through 72 electrically to run at a certain speed, which is not very fast. They're torquey, but they're not very fast. And then finally Chrysler redesigned them electrically to spin the engine faster. So I've already went through some of that in past long ago videos, but it's not the starter's fault. So you don't have to go run into the parts store, you know, to get another one of these reman pieces of crap that's been put together from all kinds of different starters. They don't even have all new parts in them. Usually they don't put a new pinion shaft in them, which is this. Just right here's where all this mounts. A lot of times I've seen that not be replaced. They've ground it, look like with a grinder. So I rebuild these things, you know, ones I get that are in good shape, that have not been rebuilt previously, and they sound like brand new after I'm done with it. They're not burned up, they don't grind, they don't turn too slow, they don't sound like they got marbles in them, they don't do anything. So you either gonna know how to deal with these Mopar starters or you don't. So anyway, that's my little rant on that. But it sounds good. That's not the starter's going to stay on there. That's just one of my spares, as I told you. So anyway, past that, what's got to happen with this thing is I've got to take the distributor out of it and service it, because the distributor is buried down in there and it's almost impossible to get to the points. Take them out. You don't want to deal with it. So the easiest thing to do is just got one bolt holds it in. You just take the cap off and mark everything so you know where to put it back in at, and just pull the thing out and take it into the garage in there and work on it. We'll put points in it, put a condenser in it, and all that. So I didn't check to see if it does have power to the coil. It did. So I'm reasonably confident that we don't have a wiring issue. I think it's just simply the points are cruded up, or they're not opening, or something's going on. We'll find out. So, all right. Well, I'll bring you back when we got something to do. I'm going to take the rest of the day and relax a little bit, watch the birds. We'll come back to Mopar land hopefully tomorrow. But for you, it'll be right about now. Okay, well, as you saw, that coil in there that was on this car was full of oil in the terminal, and kind of thinking about it, I don't know if that was actually from the coil or somebody had just kept putting oil in here and spilled it in that terminal and that coil till it filled it up. But either way, I don't think it was good for it. It may have prevented it from running. And so I replaced it. I got a good used coil, didn't have much time on it, so I just went ahead and just replaced that. And then when I was getting ready to wire all this back up, I found the positive wire to the coil. No, I'm sorry, that's to the distributor. It has a big damage place on it there. The insulation's gone, so I've got to tape that up. That could have been grounding out on something, so that would kill it too. So a lot going on here with this that would prevent this from running. So I'm going to go ahead and fix that wire, put all the plug wires back on, clean off that coil terminal that's had oil on it, and put that crappy old alternator back on. I never got off of it. Put it back on, and we'll see if that is enough to bring this thing to life. See if we get a ignition system functioning. Turn off. Well, we got storms moving in pretty quick, so I've got to get on with this. I went and robbed a coil. Well, I didn't rob it. I had a spare coil wire extra long off something else. Threw on there just to use because I didn't trust the one that was on it. The one that was on it looks rough. So anyway. So anyway, I deleted the alternator temporarily and the alternator belt. Got to replace that anyway. Don't care. So I'm going to, whoops, hang on a second. Forgot my gas. I forgot my gas. So anyway, we'll give it a little bit more persuasion here. A bit there for you. Get this out of the path of danger, Will Robinson. And, put it down there for you. A little bit for you. Yeah, all in there. Get all that. So that and the other. Let's see if we've got any good here. Oh no. She's not doing nothing. All right, I got to go in that distributor. I was hoping I wouldn't have to, but gonna have to. All right, I'll be back. Okay, this distributor is all cleaned up and lubricated and new points in it. And the points are adjusted and everything's tested. It should work. Even fixed the wire that was nearly severed. So I will put a little bit of lubrication on the gear and we'll throw that thing back in there and see if it's going to run this time. Okay, this distributor's back in. I think I did it the right way. And so filled the carburetor with some more gas and tossed some down its yap for good measure. So now we're going to put the battery cable back on. Just some effort and see what we get. I'll be surprised if it doesn't run this time. I don't know about this carburetor, but ignition system should be good. Alrighty then. We got a wheel pressure, so that's good. That just started right up, didn't it? Good. Good. I may refill my gas jug. We'll do that again. That's so fun. Yeah, you didn't like that, did you? The battle for who controls this car has begun already. Alright, a little more gas in there, gave it a little snort, so let's just see. I want to mainly see how soon that oil light goes off. Oh yeah, yeah, that's fine. All good. Sure it sounded okay. Good. All right. I like that. So I think the next thing I'm going to do is check some fluid. Well, I don't have to check fluids. I know it's low in water probably. And oil's okay. I checked that. I checked transmission fluid. I'll just see if it's got some in there. The main thing, I'm going to see... I don't know if I want to try to fill this gas tank yet or not. I think I need to see what's in there, but I wouldn't mind running it off a bottle for a little bit and just seeing, since I have the fuel pump already disconnected, and just seeing how it runs. Let it warm up a little bit and all that. So I think that's what I'm going to do, and then we'll come back to the fuel system and just see what it's got for a fuel system. I'm hopeful that the tank is not going to be corrupted, but at the very least I got to change out those lines right there. That filter, I don't know about it either, but maybe I can reuse that. Anyway, let me do that and I'll come back. Alright, I think I'm ready for some more test runs. I'm losing my daylight, but I want to just at least see if the fuel pump and the carburetor are going to work. Maybe enough to move this in the garage here coming up pretty soon. So I have my custom fuel cell made up, tapped into the inlet side of the fuel pump down there, and I topped up with water. Thankfully this thing was not very low coolant. I didn't have to put much in it. That's a very good sign. The hoses need to be replaced. Now, I'm not sure about this water pump. Not sure it's as tight as it could be, but we may end up replacing that. That's a hassle because that means the radiator has to come out. But dosed up the carburetor with some more juice and put in a new filter, new hoses. And I have that choke propped open because this thing has an electric assist choke that I put on it. This is the only one I had, because the manifold is newer than the engine. This would have not normally had. Yeah, okay, that's right. That wouldn't land on the intake. This wouldn't normally have an electric assist choke on it. That was a 73 up, but the manifold is a 73 up. So I'll have to do some wiring with it to get it to function properly. But in the meantime, we're just going to keep the choke propped open. So, all right, let me find the key again. How many leaks you think that old Holly carburetor is going to spring on us? I don't know if I ought to do that or not. I was going to say, hang on a second, I think I need to, oh, here it is. I'm going to say I probably need to block this rear wheel, because you never know it's going to take off on you. Should be in park, but never know. Sucking fuel up. Uh-oh, my line's not long enough. I'm gonna run out of fuel for the thing. Thank you, Larry. Okay, turn that down. Okay, that's good. I learned something. I don't think my line is going to be long enough to get into the bottom, so I'll have to construct something. So that's all right. It's kind of a little bit running a little rough there, but all right. That's a good sign. It's a very good sign. Okay, good deal. Well, that's a very short initial test run. So apparently the float's working in the carburetor. That's good. But the carburetor kind of acts like it's a little dirty. See, it's kind of doing that. So that's all right. We don't worry about that. We're going to overhaul that carburetor anyway. Sure. Okay, that's a good test. Very good. All right, we'll go from here then.